so hard. It's so hard.
So here we got the die-hard Manchester United fan, Shingy Rose.
What's going on, man?
So Shingy,
Yeah.
as a United fan, what do you think has gone on this season so far?
It all started off in the summer, innit? I've always said it all started off in the summer with the manager, Mourinho, berating the club, you know what I mean? And, you know, getting into conflict with the chief executives about the players he wants, which I don't understand because the board, they backed him and gave him a contract extension sometime in January, but now comes the summer and you don't trust him with money. I can see why they don't trust him with money, because he spent a lot of money and the style of football still is dreadful. You know what I mean? It's dead. It's horrible. Yeah. You know what I mean? And Mourinho's in denial like the river.
Before you even continue, do you think Mourinho's the right man for the job?
He was the right man for the job when Fergie left. That's where it's shambolic. The management of the club for me is just been a mess since Gil and Fergie left, because I feel that the time we should have got Mourinho is when we had Ferdinand, Vidic, Van Persie, Rooney, all those big characters in the team who knew what it took to win Premier League titles, and it was a ready-made team basically, and all it needed was someone like Mourinho to take over and keep the machine running. Yeah. But then I don't know, it was Sir Alex Ferguson's recommendation. Like as Andy Tate said, Moyes got the job on a technicality from a friend who recommended him, which was Sir Alex, unfortunately, and he didn't. And ever since then, it's just the recruitment policy from the club has just been a joke. Been a joke. And now, right now, you've got Mourinho, and it's just not working.
It looks like so far that Mourinho's killing the morale of a lot of your players. For example, Rashford, Martial, Pogba, the main guy. We'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Luke Shaw, but now Luke Shaw's starting to get comfortable in the team again. Why do you think this is happening?
Mourinho's a tyrant. He can fall out with anybody. He could fall out with God if he wanted to. Yeah, that's how I see Mourinho. He really is a tyrant. Like I respect what he's done, like in previous years gone by. But in my opinion, the problem is that he's got a track record of doing this. He did it at Chelsea with Hazard. I don't know how you do that because the guy's a great player. He did it with Ronaldo and Casillas. Casillas, a Real Madrid legend. And Ronaldo, he's probably the greatest player in world football. So, I mean, he's got a track record of it. And obviously he's continued to alienate players at Man United for, I don't know for what reason. He started off with Luke Shaw. You got Martial. Rashford seems to be losing his way. Obviously, he did it with Mkhitaryan and he outcasted him for a period of time. He's recently started to get onto Bailey and Jones. So it's like it's just a
against Derby, isn't it?
Yeah. Like how can you? For me, it's like how can you? At the end of the game, my man said
he knew.
Basically he knew once he saw Bailey and Jones stepping up for the penalties, we were in trouble. Bailey tucked these away. Obviously, Jones didn't. But like, if you're a player, right, or in any line of business, any line of work, and you hear that your gaffer or your manager or what have you says to you or says to the press, as soon as I saw him stepping into the office, I knew that we was gonna have a bad day. How's that? You go to sleep at night. How are you gonna wake up in the morning with any sort of enthusiasm or motivation to work hard for that manager?
So in other words, you're saying he's a morale killer.
In ways, yeah, because his ways they're outdated. I mean, the modern player in this day and age needs to be managed differently. Do you know what I mean? And you're gonna get people out here that are gonna say, oh well, these guys are men, the grown men. Listen, life is evolving, generations change, times change, they change, but see, people can't seem to gather that. I've just seen Bellamy berate Pogba on Sky Sports.
Debate show.
Yeah, on the debate show. About, is he even that good? Are you an idiot? That, for me, that doesn't even make any sense. I don't. Where did you get that sort of comprehension from? Where did you get that comprehension from? you know, people just need to understand times change, innit? Like, we don't live in the same age of the same era of when Keane and Vieira were going at it. You had big characters, Martin Keown. Do you know what I mean? You like to do Jamie Carragher's when he was back in the day. Steven Gerrard's, like, people, strong characters. Times have changed, but people can't seem to accept that. People like social media, innit?
One question I've always wanted to ask a United fan,
Yeah.
what do you think of Romelu Lukaku starting every single game? Because he seems to not do well for me. He doesn't do anything. He has a bad first touch.
As everybody says, his first touch takes you up the M1. Do you know what I mean? It's like playing with a brick wall. Like, listen, look, Lukaku's trying, innit? Look, I'll cut him some slack because the style of football we play isn't the greatest, innit? And he seems to be isolated a lot. However, at the same time, if you're going to play with a target man, the ball has to stick. And playing him as a target man is not going to work because basically you're just playing against a brick wall. Like, if you had someone like Berbatov up there with sick first touch, the ball sticks. Drogba, when he was at Chelsea, the ball just stack. You know what I mean? It just sticks. You know what I mean? The ball comes into him, it drops in front of you. You know what I mean? With Lukaku, everything is just all over the place. I don't want to get onto Lukaku badly because he does score goals. He's got a track record of scoring goals. However, for me, he's not a player that's going to take us to the next level because he can't produce something special out of nothing. Your top strikers can do that. Your Agueros, your Lewandowskis. You know what I mean? Those type of players, your Suarez, they can produce something special out of nothing. Like we saw the other day, because I can't recall a time where I've seen Lukaku collect the ball in some sort of tight position and produce a moment of magic. Do you know what I mean? Everything seems to be, you know, a good header here and there, or he's in on goal and he tucks it away, which he should do as a striker. But in terms of producing something out of nothing, like we saw the other day, Lacazette, he collected the ball where Arsenal were in some sort of, they weren't playing a good game, but he collected the ball and then he tucked it into the top corner. That was a moment of magic. I'm not saying Lacazette is, you know, world class, but that, you get what I'm talking about, or people should, you know, be able to understand what I'm talking about. So I think, I mean, Lukaku's doing what he can, but yeah, he's not the guy to take us to the next level, man. Unfortunately.
I think the other problem with Lukaku is that he knows that he doesn't have to fight for his position because there's no one else there.
That's another thing.
Challenge him.
We don't have a second striker. Now, whether that's, you know, Mourinho's fault or the ball's fault, Mourinho's obviously blaming the ball because he was looking at Arnautovic, and I like Arnautovic. Do you know what I mean? He's a good player. But yeah, we don't have a second striker. Like, he doesn't fancy Rashford because that's not the way he plays football. Like, he likes a big target man. Now, he's not going to put Martial up there. He's not going to put Rashford up there. Like, he tried it against Brighton last season and he wasn't content. So, we're in a sticky situation right now. As Heady One would say, it's kind of sticky still. I mean,
so the main one, Mourinho versus Pogba.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start from? Where do you want to start? How did the fire start?
It goes back to when he tried to make an example out of him with McThomas. Scott McThomas. His name's actually Scott McTominay, but I just call him McThomas. But yeah, it goes back to around that period. He tried to make an example of him, and that kind of backfired. Obviously, Pogba wasn't, you know, he wasn't performing to the level that, you know, we've seen him perform with France and Juventus. So Mourinho thought, yeah, okay, I'll make an example of him. And that's where I believe it stemmed from. And their relationship has never been, it's been irreparable ever since. And then there's been these comments here and there from both camps, which has just stirred the pot. But obviously, within recent weeks, I just feel that basically Mourinho, he just created a toxic environment within the camp. There's a black cloud over Man United, and I think that's largely to do with him. I mean, we saw today a post went viral of Mourinho not wanting to shake Pogba's hand, and then criticising him because he posted something on Instagram. Doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that on the training ground? Why not bring him in and say, look, what's this about? creating a toxic environment. And then obviously in the World Cup, when Pogba was performing well in the World Cup, he didn't really kind of like praise him, or he did in a sense, but at the same time, he's saying, you know, Pogba, he's shut away from the media. He only has to concentrate for 1 month with his team. Do you know what I mean? He only has to concentrate 1 month with his team. There's no external factors playing or contributing to distracting Pogba. It's like, why'd you have to say that? Just praise the guy. That's your player. That's the guy you bought. You bought the guy. You spent the 90 million. You spent the 90 million on Pogba. Embrace him. That's your guy. That's your guy. Love the guy. Love the guy. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now we see him today. It doesn't make good. You know, the media are lapping this up because obviously Man United is what the press want. They want controversy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The media are lapping it up. They're enjoying this. There's so many clicks for them online. So many clicks. And that's what's got on my nerves. That's what kind of pissed me off with Mourinho, is that the fact that he's been too outspoken and he's allowed, the media to pick up on, you know, his emotions. Do you know what I'm saying? It's annoying. Keep it in house.
But the thing is, most of these pundits, for example, Danny Murphy, Craig Bellamy, they're seeming to push the blame onto Pogba. Like, they're saying basically that he hasn't proved anything to be able to talk to Mourinho. What do you like? Do you agree with that, or?
For me, I just think it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's a different way of life. It's the lifestyle. Like I said, what I was talking, or I mentioned before about how back in the day, players didn't behave in a certain way. But I feel that basically there's an agenda that's been allowed to build against Pogba because he's flamboyant, he enjoys his life, he's on social media enjoying his life. He's a young guy. He's around, he's 25, he's around that age. You know, he's a young adult. We live in a digitalized world. Do you know what I mean? Social media orientated world. That's what young people do. These pundits, they're from an older generation where they're not familiar with social media. So it's alien to them to see players doing that. I remember those times where pundits were criticising players for taking pictures in the dressing room. Listen, it's a new age. It's a new age. And for me, I feel there's some sort... They're hating. They're hating. The guy is probably the biggest player in Man United for sure. And probably one of the biggest players in the Premier League. You know what I mean? And they're trying to say, yeah, it's Pogba that is the issue. Okay, so you take Pogba out of the Man United team. Do you see an improvement? You tell me, do you see an improvement?
No, it won't. There won't be an improvement, I don't think, because...
Well, if that's the case, why are other players not performing? Sanchez.
It's true. It's him. I personally, I think he's I think he's a moral killer. Because look, France, he went and won the World Cup. Not saying it was him alone, but you could see he was happy the way he was playing.
So for me, I don't like to say that I want him to get sacked, but for the benefit of the club,
I think that would be best for the club.
I think it would be beneficial for the club because there's this black cloud on top of the club. I wanted it to work with Mourinho. Like, I was screaming his name. That's who I wanted. But like I said, I feel that with the benefit of hindsight, I feel that we should have got him when when Fergie went. That's when we should have got him, because for me, him coaching younger players and trying to build a team and build a dynasty, that's not him. He needs a ready-made team, ready-made squad. And look, that's just his style. Some people can't adopt a coaching style where they can develop younger players and build a team. Everyone's different. But yeah, I think for the benefit of the club, if someone had to go, then I would say it should be Mourinho over Pogba, because Pogba, he could potentially be there for another 3-4 years and excel under a different manager. And his commercial value to the club, he's indispensable.
A big example of that, you're actually right, is Hazard. Because look at Hazard now, under Sarri.
He's thriving. He's thriving.
by far the best player in the league.
Yeah, so far, yeah. So far. I know you you're you want me to throw that in there, but yeah, look, he's a prime example of that. And for me, I just feel that you can't. No player is bigger than the club. No player is bigger than the club. However, I don't think Pogba thinks he's bigger than the club, but there's this agenda. But I think that the best thing for the club going forward, new direction, fresh blood, whenever it may be, if it's in January or at the end of the season, I just feel it would be best if Mourinho did part ways with Man United and call it a day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Last topic I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Another player that a lot of noise was made about from Arsenal. Alexis Sanchez.
Yeah, your team, innit?
What?
Pagans, Arsenal the pagans.
What do you think is the problem with Alexis Sanchez? Because he's clearly not performing anyhow the way he was performing at
Doesn't
Arsenal.
suit our style of play. Clearly doesn't suit our style of play.
So you think you need to get rid of him? Or new manager?
We didn't need Sanchez in the first place. It was a luxury buy. We didn't need him. We had Martial who was performing, well on the left. We brought Sanchez in. It hasn't worked. For some reason, he continues to play. Martial doesn't get a look in.
I personally think Sanchez was continuing to play because he needs to prove why he's brought him into the
Of
into
course,
the club.
of course. It was like he was bought to stop City getting him, basically. Or he wasn't bought. We swapped him. And at the time, you think, it's one of the, you see when you're shopping, and like you don't really need something, but you buy things impulsively, and then in retrospect you're thinking, no, this doesn't actually look good on me, like I kind of rushed into buying it. Like, did I actually think about purchasing this item like when I really needed it? And that's the way I feel with Sanchez.
Greed.
Basically we didn't need Sanchez, and he doesn't suit our style of play. Like we're too methodical. We're too slow in our build-up play, and there's no zip. When Sanchez was at Arsenal, there was zip. He was here, there, everywhere. Do you know what I mean? The dots were connected. It doesn't connect at Man United when we're up top. The other day was the first time I see a Man United sweeping move in God knows how long. When Matos scored, the dots don't connect. Like, the ball comes forward and then it either bounces off Lukaku or the pass goes astray, or we're too slow to build up. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. Sanchez, it's all dependent on what happens in the next few months with Mourinho. Whether Mourinho stays or don't, because he's had the pre-season. He doesn't play for Chile no more. He's retired from international football. So where do we go from here? I don't know. Our club's in a state at the moment.
I think every United fan's head's at your point right now as well.
Yeah, it's got to the point where I don't even get angry anymore, because I know it's gonna happen. Every game, it's the same cycle. We start off slowly. We may get an early goal. Then we take our foot off the gas. We let the other team grow into the game, and then they get an equaliser. Or if it's 0-0, they go ahead, and then come 70 minutes, 75 minutes, it's a rescue job. It's the same cycle. And what we saw against Derby is the exact same thing that we saw against Sevilla. Prime example.
But a long ball to Fellaini.
Prime example. We started off well, with 5-10 minutes, and then we just took our foot off the gas, and then following that, the other team grew into the game, and then they won it. Do you know what I'm saying? So, I don't know where we go from here, man, but we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens in the next few weeks. We'll see what happens where, but yeah.
United looks like Jose Mourinho's really got Man United fans giving up on football.
But man, yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, make sure you like and share, subscribe to You Know The Score. There'll be a few more vlogs like this throughout the season. Do you know what I mean? And make sure you follow the Twitter page, YKTS Football. And follow me, Shingy_Rose. Yeah. Right there. Don't know. I'm out. It's late. Ugh.